Bam. Greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mention both Jesus and Muhammad's names. Peace be upon them both. Because they were both messages of truth and reality. You're looking at the Underground Railroad. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30. But you can see me and Alderman Jones and Dr. Lee Warren and then Dr. Ali Baghdadi on YouTube 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And I want to say hi to the people in the United States, Canada, Central America, Asia, Africa, the UK, and Europe. I think the Middle East. But I have two distinguished guests, and I have my distinguished co-hosts, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But we're going to be talking about the Mideast and what's going on with ISIS and Israel. So,
well, everyone knows I'm Alderman Virgil Jones, former alderman of the 15th Ward in the city of Chicago, and I'll let our other guests introduce themselves.
I am Ali Baghdadi, was born in Jerusalem, a Palestinian, and I am an Arab American Muslim activist, and I am very concerned about the people who are targeted by the United States government.
okay.
I'm Lee Warren, the host and founder and president of the PLEM organization, Power Laden Man. The PLEM show comes on every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30 on Channel 36, and every Thursday morning from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. And we have maintained websites. You can contact us at PLEM, P-L-I-M, at plm.org, or PLEM at plem.org, or you can contact us by phone, 773-509-8124. Those are the two phone numbers that you can contact us by.
You know, Dr. Ali Baghdadi, I have to specifically ask you something, because you're a Palestinian, and it's things that I really don't understand, that the United States of America said that they will recognize any government that was duly elected in Palestine. Okay, and it appears as though they have not they don't recognize Hamas that was duly elected by the consensus of the people. Why?
What mosque you are talking?
Hamas.
He said Hamas.
Oh, Hamas. You know, until Hamas give in to the will and dictate of the United States, they will recognize Hamas. Hamas is refusing to do that. The problem is that it's not only Hamas. The entire Palestinian population are fighting occupation.
Yes.
The Palestinians have been living in that part of the world long before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam came into being. They are the ones who carry the title to their land. The Jews came from all over the world, particularly Russia, Poland, Eastern Europe,
Lithuania.
and the United States. And, you know, what disturbs me so much is the fact that when I go to visit my people, I have to carry a camera and an American passport to be let in. And I have to be kept on the borders for 7.5 hours to process me, when an entire group of few hundred people are processed within 10-15 minutes.
They know that.
Yes. In the meanwhile, Jews from Canada were processed and given Israeli citizenship while they were in the flight to my country.
They know that.
I don't have that right. And regardless of what is really happening, regardless of the support of the West and the United States for Israel, we as Palestinians are determined to stand in our land and fight
Yes.
until we liberate it. This is going to happen. The world changes. The powers in the world changes.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
I want to ask you to guess a question. So I was reading a magazine, a Life magazine, from 1948 that I got a copy of, when they were doing the stuff inventing Israel. All right, I say inventing Israel. Because one of the things that I remember Nasser saying, they said, well, you know, this is our country, and we don't want you all to be fighting us. And Nasser said, you know, it's amazing that 2,000 years ago you all left here and you were black, and you come back now and you're not. Do you remember him saying that?
Right.
And shortly thereafter they killed him, all right,
Yes.
while he was swimming, all right? And in this magazine it told how the land was divided. The Palestinians had this area, and those who were with the Israeli state, they had this. Am I correct?
Yes.
And they said, forget that. We taking it all. Am I correct?
You are right.
I read this in the Life magazine from 1948 that I have a copy of. So they're 100% in their fight because the UN gave them what? A part, and gave Israel a part. And Israel said, oh no, we taking it all.
You know, gangster everything.
Well, they are gangsters in my personal opinion.
I'm just
In
being,
my opinion.
yeah,
they
I'm
are.
just being funny.
No, I'm not being funny. I'm
Me.
telling the truth. They are gangsters.
It is serious.
They're world gangsters.
Yeah.
In 1948, the Jews who came to Palestine from the outside world occupied 78% of the land. In 1967, they occupied the remaining 22% of the land. And Israel, even though it is a small state comparatively to the other Arab countries, but the kind of weapons and machinery that the United States donates for Israel is capable of fighting all the surrounding Arab countries. As a matter of fact, the same F-16 that they give to Israel free, the taxpayer of America pays for it, is not the same F-16 they sell to the Saudis or the Gulf states. They buy weapons that are not effective. They rust in the desert. The weapons they buy is just to please the United States government in order to keep the factories of weapons running in the United States, and they rust in the desert.
Noted.
And they are the Saudis, even though they buy weapons in hundreds of billions of dollars, they have never made one shot against Israel. Neither the other Gulf states.
No, they can't.
Yet they are killing their own people of Syria.
They even have.
They kill them in Iraq.
They have
and
more.
they kill them in Libya.
They have more beheadings in Saudi Arabia than they've talked about in the last few months.
Oh yeah.
Every week they have about that many.
You know, Dr. Lee Warren. It's just by design that the Middle East is ISA right now, and there's possibly a war getting ready to go on in Syria right now, and it's just by design.
Well, it's all by design.
By the military-industrial complex.
Well, I'll say this. President FDR said, if it happens in politics, you better believe, because nothing happens by accident. You better believe.
Everything is planned.
Everything is planned. So it's all planned. So there's nothing happening over there in the Middle East without it being well planned and orchestrated. I mean, if you look at ISIS and see them running around with all those trucks, anybody's got any sense know they had to be financed. And the reason how did they get acquired for all the tanks is usually, it's very ironic. They knew when they left there that Iraq didn't have an army that could really fight, you know. They left all those weapons there. And usually the first thing when the army retreats is destroy their weapons. So, I mean, this whole thing is designed, I mean, by plan. And I mean, you know, those people are well armed and they've been well taught by CIA and MI6. So they there to continue to keep that.
When you
that
say
area.
MI6, I don't really know who you're talking about.
MI6, that's a
okay.
British
Nah,
Secret
the
Service.
Intelligence.
That's the military intelligence for the.
Okay.
They're the ones that helped form the CIA. You remember that the oldest intelligence in the world is MI6.
Okay.
See,
Under the Queen.
under the Queen. That's why you get the 007. That was the first spy for Queen Elizabeth I, not Queen Elizabeth II.
So, go ahead, Alderman.
Which gives you an authorized. Remember, they're the only ones that have the authorization to kill and murder without impunity. I mean, they had never brought before the World Court. They killed what, I don't know what, about 3 or 4 million Iraqis, right? And then on top of it, they used to the police arrest anybody that walks and goes to Iraq today has to be out their mind. And it's lucky that those people don't get up and leave, but they got nowhere to go because the birth control there is off the chain because they don't use the depleted uranium. The soil is full of depleted uranium. And the type of miscarriages and disfigurement that they have there, the birth rate, that place is through.
They have babies being born there with 2 heads.
2 heads, 2 eyes, totally disfigured.
Right now, they are using depleted uranium in the so-called fight against ISIS.
That's right.
And you're talking about weapons of mass destruction
That's it.
against Saddam.
And look at the words they use, depleted uranium.
That's right, depleted.
Gives you the impression that it's not effective. It doesn't do any harm.
Exactly.
It's still uranium.
It's still
I
uranium.
was one of the probably first person that wrote about depleted uranium. And I was attacked by many Americans who told me I am stupid. This is depleted. It doesn't do any. You
Why
don't
did-
have to worry about it
why would-
until now we see the results.
Why
Right.
would they call it depleted uranium?
That's a word game.
If it's only a word game, it's still uranium.
That's right.
It just don't have as much power as it had originally.
Exactly.
That's why they say depleted.
I'd like to ask both of y'all, since the Mideast is debunked, I mean, there's a problem. And from what both of you are saying, it's by design. I'm asking for hindsight, what's going to happen in the Mideast if things continue on the course that it's on? What? And how does that affect people in the United States of America? Either one of y'all.
Really, I believe that the world is changing. I'm glad to see that Russia is becoming strong and a challenge to the United States. And it is being recognized as such right now. It is a player in world politics. China, economically now, is ahead of the United States.
That's right.
And we see Brazil coming also, and India, and Iran as well. So things are not going to stay the same.
What you say about that, Dr. Lee Warren? What's your perspective?
Well, put it this way. The United States is fighting that thing through a proxy war. And, arming those, they're nothing but mercenaries, the so-called Islamic fighters. And as it was said about the Soviet Union, remember, the only reason that Assad Syria has not failed because it's a strong ally of Russia. And that's the only reason, else they would march through there. It wouldn't last a week, I guarantee you, just like Saddam, it wouldn't last a week. Either they would give him an ultimatum. And Gaddafi didn't take that. They asked him, they told him to go. And if I was him, and I told him, I said, listen, leave. Just leave, take all your stuff, and then pick another day to fight, another day, another time. But he same thing with Saddam. and Assad is backed by Russia, and I think Russia is becoming more powerful, and so is China in the Middle East. They realize it's oil. China needs a great deal of oil. They don't have it, and it's going to be very interesting these next 4 or 5 years how that's going to be played out, because it's not America's and England's playground anymore. They got opposition from China and Russia on the other end. So, and then economically, we're not as strong as we was, say, 30 years ago. So, like, things are changing. Things are changing. We are not going to be the power that we were. Let me say this: all the money is in the East. All the Western nations are broke, except for maybe Germany. Everything else is broke. All the power and all the trade is going to take place within that Eastern bloc. That's Russia and China. Russia has the resources and the might, and China has the industrial capacity. So that they're going to, those two duos is going to unite most of Asia, especially.
What about India?
And
India.
Iran is joining the group.
Yeah, Iran is joining the group. But I'm saying the biggest part of the resource, you look at Russia. Russia has 9 time zones. I said 9. We only got 4. They got 9. Let me say 10. 10 time zones. We only from New York to LA is only 4 time zones. They got 10. They're the largest resource, and none of it's been developed. And if Russia is decided to turn inward to develop that, along with China being the industrial capacity, there's no way that the United States can stand. I can tell you about that.
We had Alderman in. I got a question.
Well, Doc, both of you all, I believe that these folks are so evil, they would destroy the whole world if they couldn't have the power.
I think that, but I'll tell you this: if that was the case, they'd have pushed the button a long time ago. They haven't taken They haven't taken Korea, and they haven't pushed Russia and China. I think it's a game of gamemanship, and when they are pushed to the brink, you remember, the United States has never fought anybody but third world countries. We have never fought since World War II. We haven't fought anything. North Korea, these little pitty-dong third world, and like Putin told them that this isn't, we're no third world country. We got nukes, and we're a very powerful country. So that's the reason they haven't, I'm saying, going back to Assad, it's the reason that's holding Assad in there. And I think Russia will hang with them a little bit to see exactly how this thing is going to be played out. They tried to do the same thing with Iran. Iran is being able to hang in there. So it's not like this. This is not 50 years ago where they could just rush out over the whole world.
Wouldn't you say that, considering that the U.S. and Russia are involved jointly in the space program, that they're really just fooling the people, including Russia?
Well, yeah, they fooled the people for the time. The problem
Enemies
is,
don't do stuff like that.
listen, they're trying to, should I say this? This is a political gamemanship, and everybody is trying to win folks over, bribe folks over. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, do you know that certain parts of the Boeing aircraft was made in Russia through their engineering? Mm-hmm. So they'll go over and say, well, listen, we'll work with you. In other words, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. In other words, part of this stuff, it's part of their technology. It's like when China helped makes part of the Boeing aircraft. So they throw them a little bone, give them a little technology and stuff, and bring them along, hoping that they can win them over. But they find out these people, that ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work. And you can see it very easily. Let me give you one example. China told the United States to stay out of the South China Sea. Stay out. Because they only got a fleet over there, task force over there. So they told them to stay out. We don't have the power we had before. I mean, we, almost say like a paper tiger, but we don't have the power no more. And people have really come to the realization at this point in time. And I tell you, what really got the world upset was when they found out that they were listening to every phone call on the face of the earth.
Eric Snowden.
And yes. Snowden told them, say, listen to everything. Everybody is, why would they even?
Even though Eric wasn't the first one.
No, he wasn't the first one, but
there was another one who just came back to the United States after about 30 years.
Yeah,
But
There are, as we know, several reasons for the war that is taking place in the Middle East, the killing and the destruction. But one of the main reasons, or even the top reason, is a subject that is not discussed much in the news, and that is the gas pipelines
Oh yeah,
that's supposed to go through the Middle East to Europe.
that's it.
So there is a war between Russia and between the West, or really the United States,
Right.
because of the gas. Europe is very dependent on the gas, clean energy.
Yes.
And now we find it in Syria, all over Syria, the coast.
Got a pipeline.
And the whole area. Iran has plans together with Iraq and Syria to have pipelines going through Syria.
I want to ask you a question, Doc. I remember when they had a company called Enron down in Texas,
That's right.
and Russia had found oil in Siberia, and they wanted to run a pipeline from Siberia through Afghanistan to the Caspian Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And the Taliban said, no, you ain't. You're not going to do that.
Correct.
And ever since then, they've been fighting in Afghanistan. Because George Bush and them told them, go over there and take it. They won't let us use it. Go take it. See, I believe they're gangsters, personally.
Right.
All right? They're not anything other than gangsters. They take what they want.
They invited Taliban to come to Texas, and they sat and talked to them and made proposals.
That's right.
And they told them, you take it or else.
That's it.
The Taliban said, we are not going to take it. And else was the invasion of Afghanistan, because they want to have the gas as well as the oil from Central Asia, going
Sure.
through Afghanistan, going to the Indian Ocean.
What is the cause and effect? How is this going to affect people that are almost economically oppressed now within the United States of America? What's going on in the Mideast? The little man, both of y'all, how's this going to affect us?
Not just the little man in America,
Oh,
little men in other little countries.
okay. How's it going? It's good.
Well, if there's a big, if they went to a big war, I can guarantee you that the whole world would suffer, because oil will go up to over $200 a barrel. So most countries would throw them into a depression, because most countries could not afford industrial capacity would shrink. If you got to a big war, for instance, right here, the Americans would have to go. They couldn't even go to work, because $10 a gallon. They were hollering at 4 or 5, and now at 10, it's over with. Game is over with.
But
Ask you, how's it going?
but they had in Alaska,
Pipe.
Exxon. All right, I ain't talking about the pipeline either. They discovered enough oil up there so that this country, all right, could sell gasoline for $1.50.
Oh yeah, well, that's the same way with. Listen, that's the same way with diamonds. Diamonds. De Beers has a monopoly on diamonds. Diamonds, people pay out. Listen, if you didn't have, if the market was allowed to free operate without any interference, diamonds would be $200-$300. Most expensive diamond would cost $10,000, because they hold so many. Russia has a huge amount of diamonds, and the De Beers told them, said, listen, you can't sell them diamonds, else you destroy the market. They said, listen, you got to hold some of it back so we can maintain price stability at these higher prices. It's the same thing with oil and anything else.
If we are talking about diamond and we are talking about oil, we should talk about what is happening in Africa.
Go ahead.
Right.
The Ebola business.
Yes.
Well, you know what that is.
They went there to Nigeria not to fight the Ebola, to occupy, so they could control the gas.
That's it.
And in Liberia to control the diamond.
Diamonds, that's it. Diamonds and gold.
So the only motivation they have is the profit.
That's it.
And the American people don't benefit from this profit. It is the rich, the
Yes.
1% of the
As
population.
both of y'all, we running short on time. Why are the American people so dumbed down? Why? Both of y'all. We're running low on time. So.
Really, Naum Chomsky wrote a very good article about this subject, and they use science in order to brain the American people. They use science. So it is planned. The American people, as you said, they work very hard. They do. They come home very tired. They watch little TV, and they go to sleep and go back to work.
That's it.
Yeah.
They don't have time to say the truth. And those big corporations are control of the media.
That's right.
6 corporations, I think.
That's it.
They
6.
control all the
the
media
media,
in the United
exactly.
States and in the entire world.
We running
Television,
short on
radio,
time,
TV.
Dr. Lee Warren, why are the people so dumbed down and then need some finishing comments?
Well, I mean, all you gotta do is mention one word, and the master of all brainwashing is Tavestock. So Tavestock, is the think tank that has constantly drilled the American people. Man, they cover, the idea that people have been brainwashed, and they continue. Whether we're talking about just economics, whether we're talking about international affairs, whether we're talking about just simple their financing. The idea of buying Tide or whether you buy cheered. I mean, all of that stuff is just mass marketing. I mean, to give you an example of what I'm talking about
We got 2 minutes left.
real quick.
Okay.
In order, they had a military Jeep that they decided that they could only sell to the Army. They had to figure out a way to sell the Jeep to the American people. And they gave the big senator, what's his name? The big black guy that paid for LA, what's his name? Shaq.
Shaq.
They gave Shaq what?
The endorsement.
Endorsement for the big what? Because the big H, the Hummer.
Yeah.
You know damn well you don't need no Hummer. That's a combat vehicle. But they made it very fattish, and now you see all these Hummers running around. I said that's a combat vehicle, and it was a way of making money.
We got 1 minute.
That's brain
The
control.
message that y'all want to convey to the people, and thank y'all for accepting the invitation. Either one of y'all can go first. A message that y'all would like to convey to
I
the
would say this, in final 2 words. I hope the American people ask the spirit within them to wake them up to what the truth is. The Messiah said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You've been deceived. And once you find out what the truth is, you're going to find out that it gives you a different viewpoint. And that's what the Messiah said to the people.
And you have any finishing comments?
Really, my brother Elderman said it earlier. The American people have to face more tragedies and more pain to wake up.
Pain.
And that is very sad, really
is.
very sad. Again, the American people and all the people throughout the world have the technology to find the truth.
That's it.
But they have to go to the internet and dig it. And they don't have to read material written by Muslims. They read material written by American Christians.
Yes.
The material exists on the internet.
That's right.
Just dig it.
Yeah, what paper did you write for, and what time your show come on? Because we only got a half a minute left.
My show comes on every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30 on Channel 36, and every Wednesday from 8:30 to 9:30.
Paper you write for?
Right now, I am not writing for any paper. I did that for 50 years, and I'm taking a break.
Alderman. Any finishing comments, Alderman? Thank you.
Now we'll see them one day in the future. That's all I have to say.
Okay, I want to say assalamu alaikum. I want to thank y'all for accepting.
know, but the response is positive. You know, I want to thank you for bringing it up. Watch that.